For this unit, we are learning about space and proportion. This should be a review. We have already learned about form in the past. We learned about form in our pop art lesson, but just to review, a form is a three-dimensional shape that has length, width, and depth. And you can see here, these are some examples of different forms. These are some forms that exist in real life. You can see real examples of a cone, a rectangular prism or cube, a sphere, and a cylinder. And I'd be willing to bet that you can look around the room where you are now and see at least a few other forms in the room that look like these forms. We're also going to learn about architecture for this project. Architecture is the art of designing and making buildings. All buildings are just three-dimensional forms also. We're also going to learn about Frank Lloyd Wright. He was a very famous architect who made some really cool buildings, and you can see some of those in these pictures. The photo here on the left is called Falling Water. That's the name of this building. It was a home for a family, and he built it in the woods over a falling waterfall, and it's really cool. As you can see, he used a lot of geometric shapes and forms, and he even was really detailed about how he designed the interior. The picture on the right is what the inside of that building looks like. Here are a couple other examples of buildings made using form. All of his buildings use form, but also space and proportion. But what are space and proportion? Space in art includes the foreground, middle ground, and background. Look at this photo. The plants in the very front that are closest to us are considered the foreground. The mountains in the very back are part of the background, and then everything between with the mountain and the valley are the middle ground. Proportion explores the size relationship between two or more elements in an artwork. Notice the relationship in size between the objects in this painting. And how about this one? Notice how the artist decided to make some objects much larger than others to change the space and proportion relationships. And if you look at this photo, notice how the sheep in this field look bigger in the front and smaller in the back because of the space difference. Things that are closer to us appear larger, and things that are further away appear smaller. For your project, we're going to use form to create 3D shapes, we'll use space to create a background and foreground, and we'll use proportion by making things in the front seem bigger and things in the background smaller. But first, we need to practice drawing 3D shapes. So before we go on to draw our buildings, we're going to learn how to draw some of these different 3D forms. And you're going to have to make sure that you watch the video how to draw 3D shapes right after this. After you've watched the video, practice drawing at least 4 different types of 3D shapes and submit your practice drawings in Schoology. This isn't going to be the final project, but it'll be good practice for what we're doing next week.